It's pretty rare we get a massive leap in audio tech because the creative Aurvana Ace 2 are the first true wireless earbuds to use an XMEMS silicon solid state driver. That's a bit of a mouthful. Basically, they sound good, but today I'll be comparing them to the best of the best in 10 categories. And I'll be adding them to my custom scoring spreadsheet linked below. And on there, you can tailor the scoring to what matters most for you. More on that later though. Now the retail price on these, 149 US, 229 Australian. Now let's go into category number 1, comfort. And I do like buds that use this transparent design, throws me back to the Game Boy Color days. Now you get 3 sizes of ear tips here, and the bud is on the chunkier side. The driver shaft is a bit deep, so I feel that slightly, but I personally don't mind a deeper fit. And the ergonomics are similar to that of the AirPods Pro, so they work great for me. I still get minimal suction and only the slightest amount of pressure. But it does just feel like there's more in the ear compared to other stem earbuds, like the AirPods Pro, OnePlus Buds 3, or Nothing Ear 2. So if you do have smaller ears, those buds should work better, especially the Ear 2. So with all this, I'm giving them a score of 7.5 for comfort. It's not terrible, but it's not a bud that I would want to wear all day. But keeping in mind, this is just how they fit me. It's going to be different for everyone, so take the fit scoring lightly. But the benefit of this slightly deeper fit is that you get better security. Again, just for me, but I can wear these when weight training and I'm barely needing to readjust the earbuds with any exercise. Squat, bench, deadlift, testing them out running, they're staying great, as do most stem earbuds, since that weight of the stem will hold the buds down. So very minimal amount of body-borne noise from your own breathing and the impact you make on the ground. So with this, I'm gonna give them a score of 8. But if you like using your earbuds when training, these have an IPX5 water resistant rating, fine for sweat, splashes of water, use in the rain. You just can't submerge the buds in water. Now the next category is case and battery life. Now you get an advertised 6 hours with the earbuds and 24 hours in total with the case, but that's with noise cancelling off. With noise cancelling on, you only get 4 hours from the earbuds and 16 hours in total. So that's super low, and the buds are not that compact, so I assume that it's this new driver technology that requires a lot more power. Since the buds use 52 milliamp hours and the case 470 milliamp hours, which is on average for most earbuds. But you do get fast charge, so chuck the buds in the case for 10 minutes, you're gonna get 1 hour's playback. And you can also charge the case wirelessly. Now, like the earbuds, the case also has a transparent design, which looks cool, but the downside of this design is that it can reveal some uneven internals, as you can see on the back of the case here, and that super shiny inside looks and feels a little bit cheap. But the overall build quality is okay. You don't get any IP rating on the case, but you do have an option to add a lanyard loop on there. And it's a pretty compact case. I have it ranked tied 6th in my thin ranking. And here it is compared to the thinnest case, the AirPods Pro 2, and the thickest case, the Sennheiser Momentum 3. So with all this, I'm giving them a score of 5, just with that battery life situation. It's not entirely fair considering they're using new drivers, but that's what I'm scoring them. Now the next category is controls. And you're getting touch controls here with a double tap, triple tap, and long hold. So no option for a single tap. But you can customize a double and triple tap in the app to play pause, skipping tracks, ambient control, or voice assistant. The long hold is locked to volume up and down. And you do miss some smaller things. You don't get wearing detection to automatically pause and play your music. And you can't customize a noise cancelling switching, so you're stuck to having to switch between noise cancelling on, noise cancelling off, and transparency. It's nice to have the option to switch just between noise cancelling and transparency, since those are gonna be the most common options that you use. So with all of this, they get a score of 6. Now the next category is connectivity. And you're getting Bluetooth 5.3, SBC, AAC, LC3 or LE audio, as well as aptX adaptive and aptX lossless. LE audio, aka low energy audio, is still pretty new. It's an experimental feature, at least on my ASUS ZenFone 10, but does have some benefits, mainly improving battery life. Now my ZenFone 10 does support aptX lossless, so I tested this with Tidal. You want to use Tidal because most apps will downsample the streaming. So going from SBC to AAC to aptX lossless, I'm noticing the slightest improvement in sound quality, very similar to LDAC or LHDC high-res. But streaming lossless or high-res, it's for very well-trained ears. I obviously test a lot of earbuds, so I wouldn't say I'm highly trained, but main things I notice is slightly better resolution, detail, and instrument separation, but I'm talking a couple of %. But moving on, you also get multi-point connection here. I couldn't see it advertised anywhere, but it does work. You just need to pause playback on one device before you resume it on the other device. And you can use one earbud at a time while you leave the other in the case. And when using just one earbud, it's gonna work in mono mode, so you hear the left and right audio channel out of the one earbud. So with all this, they're getting a score of 8.5. You get everything you need, as well as a low latency gaming mode. So these are the results I got in my test on iOS and Android. 400 milliseconds is okay for casual gaming. You do want to get closer to 200 milliseconds if you're into faster reaction games like shooters. Now the next category is call quality, and I run through 3 tests: a quiet room, loud simulation kid noise, and a simulation windy city. And I'm giving the Ace 2 a score of 7. They struggled a bit in the windy city test, but most earbuds do. It's an extreme worst case scenario test. Now in terms of controls, you can only accept or reject a call, end a call, but you can't mute your microphone using the touch controls when you're on a phone call. You also can't switch between noise cancelling on, off, or transparency mode when you're on a phone call. Even if you go into the app, you won't be able to change anything. So whatever you had on before the phone call, you're just stuck with whatever it is. But here are the samples so you can hear the call quality for yourself. All right, here's the call quality of the Creative Aurvana Ace 2 in a quiet room. All right, now we're testing the ability for the microphones to block out some simulation loud kid noise. All right, here's the call quality of the Creative Aurvana Ace 2 with some simulation loud kid noise. All right, now we're going to see how the microphones block out some construction noise, some city noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here's the call quality of the Creative Aurvana Ace 2 with some simulation construction, city noise, and wind noise. All right, next category is app customization and extra features. And I've already covered some aspects of the app, so I'll touch on everything else and go in more detail later. And it's a super simple app. You have the battery life of your earbuds on the homepage with your EQ, ambient control, and touch control settings for easy access. And you do get a nice band EQ with some nice freedom of customization. The settings tab will have some extra features like your low latency mode toggle, as well as your audio prompt settings. But if you turn the audio prompt off, you're not going to get any beat feedback. So when you're switching between your ambient controls, you just won't hear anything. So you don't get anything like a hearing test, voice detect, find my buds, noise cancelling, or transparency customization, which a lot of buds do have. If you want to compare all this information, it's all in my spreadsheet linked below. But now let's talk about the noise cancelling. First, how I test my noise cancelling. I chuck on my soundbar, so I'm playing simulation, plain noise, and crowd noise. So I'm getting low, middle, high, consistent, as well as inconsistent sounds. And here's my noise cancelling ranking with all the earbuds that I've tested. I've got the Ace 2 ranked 12th. And it's honestly pretty decent noise cancelling. They are getting ranked against much more expensive earbuds, so keep that in mind. But you can get stronger noise cancelling at a similar or cheaper price, so I'm giving them a score of 5. They did struggle a bit blocking out that low frequency plain noise, but when it comes to voices and high frequencies, they block that out quite well. A small issue I noticed with the noise cancelling was in the gym, if I put like some weights down or any high frequency sounds, like I was just putting some cutlery away and there was some slight distortion when the microphones would pick up that high frequency sound, and it's a pretty unpleasant sound. It's kind of like a distorting clipping sound. I did reach out to Creative about this and they said that it was going to get fixed in 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll wait and see. I'll update a comment down below if it does. Now, when it comes to EQ shift, this is how your sound quality will change with noise cancelling on compared to noise cancelling off, compared to transparency mode. And there is a slight amount here. So when you go from noise cancelling on to noise cancelling off or transparency, you get about a 15% bass reduction, mainly when it comes to mid bass. And you always expect the slightest amount, but this is a little bit more than average. And the noise cancelling or transparency doesn't have any automatic wind noise reduction. So the microphones do pick up wind quite easily. I was going for a walk outside on not a very windy day and it still picks up the wind. The microphones are quite sensitive to that, so it would have been nice to see some wind noise reduction. And if you're using one earbud at a time while you leave the other in the case, you're not going to be able to use noise cancelling. Even if you go into the app, you can't turn it on. Now let's talk about the transparency mode. It's pretty solid stuff here. They're getting a score of 7. The clarity is decent. It's definitely not a natural transparency mode. So things are quite amplified that are quite distant away from you, like wind or traffic noise in the distance. It just sounds a bit amplified. They do have a moderate amount of white noise as well as some occlusion. So your own voice doesn't sound too clear, slightly muffled. Hearing other people talk, it's not too bad. It's not terrible, but definitely not the best. But now onto the final and most important round, sound quality. And starting with volume here, in my max volume test, I got 113.6 decibels, which is about on average for most earbuds. So plenty of volume to play around with. With low level listening, there's no special EQ here to really boost the bass and treble since naturally we hear less, but they still sound pretty decent at those lower volumes. Pairs that do this well are the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra and Google Pixel Buds. But some people don't like it because they push out too much bass, where the Ace 2 are slightly more balanced, which more people may prefer. Now onto the sound quality itself. The Ace 2 uses a combination of a 10mm driver for your bass and mid-range, and it's the XMEMS driver that are going to focus on those higher frequencies. And this is a new type of driver that uses vibration of flexible silicon rather than a magnet, so it's quite interesting stuff. But what matters is how they actually sound, and they do sound good. It's a unique tuning, but it's good. Now the stock tuning is really nothing special. I find they need a bit of EQing. I like boosting the bass and the mids as well as the treble slightly. The boosting of the treble is the most important difference, at least for me. So the bass response you're getting here is well balanced. It hits in nice and deep, but has some nice punch to it as well. So you get a bit of that subwoofer feeling, which works great with electronic music, but with instrumentation, it's great as well. It's well matted and the mid bass isn't lacking as well. So you get a nice, smooth and rich bass response across all of the frequencies. But the focus here is more on that sub bass. Now the mids and highs are more of the standout. So you get a super smooth mid range. It's natural, vocals come across very clear, especially male vocals. Female vocals don't sound as good, but it's still pretty decent. Now the treble is the most unique part of this tuning. So you get really nice detail and imaging. So combining the treble with the mid-range, I noticed things like the pluck of a guitar, the snap of a snare drum, and pretty much just all instrumentation had a lot more detail, and I could really pick out where the sounds were coming from in the soundstage better than most earbuds that I've tested. But where they lack is with the upper treble, so you're not really getting too much sparkle. So things like hi-hats and crashes. Also why I think female vocals don't sound as good. I find a nice upper treble response will help with things like female vocals. So the treble is slightly more on the darker side. I personally like some extra sparkle with my treble, so it really depends on what you like. And playing around with the EQ, you can only adjust that upper treble before things start getting a little bit too harsh. But combine everything here as well as the soundstage, it's a pretty open sound with some amazing detail that you're getting. And some of the, I don't really talk about imaging much. It's not something I really notice too much with true wireless earbuds, but it's definitely more noticeable here on the Ace 2. So with all of this, I'm giving them a score of 8. So the Sennheiser Momentum 3 and Sony XM5s sound better to me. That's why I have them ranked slightly higher. Technics AZ80, slightly better than those two. And I've still got the Denon Pearl Pro in the #1 spot. But now that wraps up all 10 categories. And before we go into the final score, this is just my scoring system and how I compare the buds. It helps me review my earbuds and compare everything. If it helps you out as well, that's great. And if you want to utilize this spreadsheet, it's linked down below, free to download. It has all the scores in there, notes for each score, specs, core quality comparisons, as well as a customized scoring. All you need to do is fill out a number in the importance column, and that's going to multiply the entire category. So put in 0 to get rid of the score, 2 to double the score, 5 to 5 times the score. You can do whatever you want in there. But here's the final score. The Aurvana Ace 2 in last place with a total score of 68. What really held them back were smaller categories, battery life, app support, noise cancelling, so it depends if that really matters for you. But I still need to give it to Creative for being one of the first companies to adopt this new technology. So if it's just this unique tuning you're looking for, they might work for you. I've seen a lot of comments of people really enjoying them. But if you're looking for more of an all-rounder, check out my OnePlus Buds 3 review right here. And a quick shout out to my channel members. It's an easy way to support my work here, or you can donate on my Ko-Fi, which is where all my spreadsheets are. I really do appreciate all the support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.